with 2024 coming to an end, now is the best time to relive the motions of the oceans and progress and backsliding that the Calgary Flames took part in.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me on this, my birthday edition of Locked On Flames. I hope you're all having a great day. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And I thought that today would be a great day to reflect on the calendar year that was 2024. For the Calgary Flames. There were a lot of changes, a lot of progress, a lot of philosophical changes that really felt like things were taking a turn for the better. And we're going to talk about that and then some on today's episode. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube, and let's dive right into it. So 2024 was the first full calendar year of Craig Conroy, his regime, under his general management administration. And it was a busy year, even after December when he traded Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov. Like, there were still a lot of things that had to be done. And obviously Chris Tanev was traded, Noah Hanifin was traded. Over the summer, we had Jacob Markstrom, we had Andrew Mangiapane, and they were all tough decisions to make because obviously you don't want to lose a guy like Chris Tanev or great goaltender in Markstrom or Noah Hanifin even. You don't want to do that, but at some point you have to look at the bigger picture. And that's what Craig Conroy has done. He has made it abundantly clear that his vision isn't just for the temporary, it is for the bigger picture and the better long-term outcome. And it's very nice to see that after years and years and years of win now, and just digging this team into a very deep hole and pouring gasoline on a fire and having someone else come in and extinguish it. So I thought that Craig Conroy had a great draft too. Getting the 9th overall draft pick it was big. It was really big for the Flames, and it was needed. Zane Parik is a fantastic offensive defenseman, and I think that Team Canada is really missing him on their roster right now, and they made a mistake, and I hope that they are able to have him on their next roster of sorts, because his presence is sorely missed in World Juniors this year. But it wasn't just that first round that went well. He was able to find players throughout the draft that really stunned the draft experts and made it sound like Craig Conroy hit it out of the park. And I think a lot of people, including myself, were like, is this the same Flames organization we've been watching for years? Like, what do you mean they did well in the draft? What do you mean they didn't make any ridiculous free agent long-term contract moves, and they didn't overpay someone? What do you mean they're integrating the youth into the lineup more? What is this? And it felt like a clean slate when Craig Conroy took the job. But I think obviously you had a full season last year, but you had a full calendar year of Craig Conroy and then some. But to be able to see what he's done in a year is great. And it's so refreshing to see someone stick to their plan. And I mean, speaking of plans, there's a whole new arena being built that went from a concept to a plan to renderings to, oh, we're breaking ground. And that is, it just feels like that's part of this clean slate sort of, not rebirth. That sounds so dramatic, but this new philosophical ways of the Flames and what this organization wants to bring to the city and the kind of organization they want to build. When I think about the Flames and when I, explain what are the Flames to maybe non-hockey fans or maybe people who are just casual fans, they are a group of underdogs that work hard. They are a bunch of they're good players that have to work hard to get their ultimate result. And I mean, hey, this unfortunately isn't the team that I came in and started covering 5 years ago, but with all this star power name and high-end talent, but they're working their way back there, and we're gonna have to see who the next Matthew Tkachuk is gonna be. Who is the next Jerome McGinley? There's not gonna be one of those, but we'll just have to keep watching. And I think there's still obviously so much to be done, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and you're not going to fix everything in one off season. This is a project. And we're going to talk more about individual player success coming up here next on Locked On Flames. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot you were paying for twice? That has definitely happened to me. I have most certainly found myself paying for things I didn't even know I was paying for. And Rocket Money has made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even your goals, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using the app's premium features. That's a lot of Flames games if you want to spend $740 on that. I'm personally going into 2025 with the hopes of saving more money so I can go out to Calgary again and again. And a Rocket Money is definitely going to be part of that process. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That is rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Blue Sky and Twitter at JustSpellMosto. What a fun year 2024 was. Last season was tough. Leading up to the trade deadline and then some. But there were still plenty of things to be excited about and to look forward to. And you could turn on a game pretty much any night of the week and know that you were going to get a really good performance from Jacob Markstrom, which is great considering the year he had prior. And Sharangovich and Blake Coleman both had career seasons last year. And those are two players that have that underdog mentality and that characteristic about them, that they have to work harder, they have to grind to get that success. It isn't necessarily something that comes as smooth and as fluid, and I don't want to say as natural because that doesn't sound right, but they have to work hard to get those goals, and they did just that. And I think a lot about how the Flames were integrating Dustin Wolf throughout the season when Markstrom was hurt or if under the weather, and then Dustin Wolf, took over there when Dan Vladar ended up needing season-ending surgery. And there were a lot of moving parts to last season, whether it was waiving players or losing players one way or another. In deciding, making tough decisions and who sits and who plays. And I think that that is also something that is carried over into this year, but it's a little bit more fun because we're seeing such a different type of success and like truly integrating the youth into the lineup. Like we have seen great stuff from Connor Zary. We have seen great stuff from Matt Coronado. Martin Pospisil has been fun. Obviously Dustin Wolf. And you have, Jacob Pelletier, who has made such an impact on the team's penalty kill. And it's just been exciting because that there's something there. You have the building piece, like the building blocks, but you need a little bit of a stronger foundation. I think more recently when I think of exciting things about the 2024 Flames, not even like this season, like the 2023-2024 or the 2024-25 season Flames, but just this calendar year as a whole. As honestly, Mackenzie Weegar and Rasmus Andersson, both players have played phenomenally. Last season, Mackenzie Weegar had 20 goals and 200 blocked shots. Like that's impressive. And I think when you see numbers like that, it's great. It's refreshing after you lose a player like Chris Tanev, who was willing to lay his body in front of any moving puck. Earlier this season, he took a puck off the face, I believe, in Toronto. So that's bonkers to me. But no, like I think of how Rasmus Andersson was coming back after injury and how he wasn't the same player after being hit by a car. And he eventually kind of found his footing towards the end there. And then coming into this season after losing his best friend, in a kind of like a similar, I don't want to say similar accident, but, both struck by vehicles, and I'm sure that that's kind of a wake-up call as well. But, we have seen the Rasmus Andersson stare down. And we have seen, like, that is so fun. And even if I look at the screen and see him and Kevin Ball on the ice for a goal against, just have to take a deep breath and remember they're on the ice for a lot of the game. And it's not the end of the world. But I feel like there is this newfound love for the game, or like the players have kind of fell in love with the game again, or it's enjoyable for whatever the reason may be. But like there is such a good atmosphere and good vibes around this team, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't it doesn't feel like, oh, we're taking separate cabs to the airport sort of thing. Like it feels very organic, and it feels like this team is really there for each other and understands the importance of a good locker room. And they just, I don't know how to explain it, but they're very charismatic. They're a very charismatic group. A group of likable players, I would say, helps too, but they have this determination, this resilience, this commitment to being a good hockey team, even if the odds are stacked against them. And that says a lot. That says a lot about the type of players they are. It says a lot about what they preach in the room, what is being taught or talked about from the top down. And that is something you have to keep your head on straight for. This is a long season, and it's not fun going out there and losing over and over and over and over again, which we've seen. And I think, when I look at this month alone, the resurgence of Jonathan Huberdeau made the Flames month of December fun to watch, because not only was he scoring even strength goals or even just like shooting the puck more, he was scoring power play goals. He was making these vintage Huberdeau passes. And we are all fully aware of what Huberdeau's tenure and resume as a Flame shows. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to feel bad for watching a $10.5 million player put up 13 points in 12 games, like 14 points in 12 games, whatever it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and make him the bad guy in all of this when he is simply doing his job, which is what people have asked of him. And that's fine. I understand that. So I just feels like a double expectation, but yeah, double standard. That's the word I'm looking for. But coming up next, I am going to bestow some New Year's resolutions upon the Calgary Flames, because there are certainly some things we need to improve for the new year. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. I would appreciate that very much. And if you're feeling generous, please feel free to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and a nice little review and rating. That would go a very long way, and I appreciate you. Resolutions are so fun. I don't like to make them for myself. Because I never stick to them. I wish I was someone who made like a vision board and an organized list of all the things I want to accomplish. Honestly, as long as I get this podcast up, I'm happy. That's really the only thing that I care about day in and day out. I think that it can be fun. Oh, I want to learn how to knit. Oh, I want to learn how to play hockey. I want to learn how to ice skate. I want to learn how to do calculus. I don't know why that's on your list, but okay. Maybe I swear less at the television during a hockey game. Maybe I don't say shoot the puck all the time during a game. That could help. That might be a good idea. But the Flames, they're not immune from criticism or what I would love to put on their vision board, because with a new year comes an opportunity to be the better version of yourself, the best version of yourself, an improved version of yourself. And the Flames had that opportunity starting the day after tomorrow. And obviously, my first one is obvious. Shoot more. Like, you have to score more than 3 goals a night to win a game. Because that game against Vegas, you didn't score any. They scored 3. If you wanted to win, you needed to put up 4. Or play better defense. But it's a whole nother can of worms. I think that ultimately what would really, 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 really help them is to take less penalties. And that feels very obvious. But sometimes when the answer is staring us right in the face, we just choose to ignore it and avoid it, and don't see it. It's like when you're looking for something and you can't find it anywhere. Then you ask your mom to help you find it, and suddenly it's right there on the shelf or wherever. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like here. Take the amount of penalties the Flames have taken in singular games this season it's concerning. Obviously, like, I think back to that game against Ottawa earlier in the season when they they took 9 penalties. That is inexcusable, and I don't care how good your penalty kill is or how good your special teams are. That is way too many penalties. That is an undisciplined team. And I think that they have tightened it up a bit. I think Martin Pospisil has gotten a lot better with it. I feel like we don't see Blake Coleman going to the box as much. Braden Pahal, frequent flyer. Kevin Ball, somewhat frequent flyer. Martin Pospisil and Kadri, they're also frequent flyers. But I think that the biggest hurdle for this team is going to be adjusting to the lack of high-end talent that they have had on their team. And they've done a solid job the last season and a half, but you have to adapt in different ways because your penalty kill is just not what it once was. Your power play has gotten exceptionally better. I'm shocked when they score. I'm not sick to my stomach when they go on a power play, which huge improvement from where we were a month ago. November was brutal. I don't think I ever that was tough. I would also love to see them figure out how the heck they're going to win faceoffs. This is another big area of concern. We talked about it last week. The Flames don't have a strong faceoff center. Like, they don't have that. They don't have Elias Lindholm anymore, which is not a bad thing. They need someone younger. And no one is just giving up young right-handed centermen. No one's doing that. No. And if they are, there's probably like something very wrong there. But yeah, I feel like you have to dig deep. As Connor McDavid once said, you got to dig in. You have to figure out how to win. You have to get creative. You have to be better where you're lacking in special teams or even strength. Defensively, I feel like the team has to tighten up. I don't feel like I've seen it a lot recently. I feel like I've seen it less than I did at the start of the season and through November. But, I don't want to call anyone out by name because that's not very nice. But it did feel like there were times when players would be on the ice for goals against and they would just look like lost puppies. Like, they didn't even know what zip code they were in, what planet they were on. They didn't know they had a job to do and just completely out of position. Or if they were by the net, they just, again, looked beyond out of it. Like, they didn't know, they forgot they were defensemen. And my last resolution is to stop leaving the goaltenders out to dry. The game against Vegas was disappointing because the Flames, the score did not match the effort the Flames put in. And poor Dan Vladar starts another tough game, and the Flames offense just embarrasses him. They have to figure out a way to score and stop leaving their goaltenders out to dry. I've had enough. But I hope you haven't had enough of Locked On Flames, because we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a deeper dive into Yegor Sharangovich's lackluster season after signing this extension and starting the season injured and coming off a career year. What does this mean? Was that contract premature? Is there something that the Flames can do to get him going again? And we'll talk about all that and more on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Flames. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And remember to stay warm, stay hydrated, stay moisturized, stay calm, stay cool. And remember to be kind.